Welcome back to the Meant for Magic podcast. Usually I'm all like done up and prim and proper, but I was having a conversation with one of my closest friends and I was talking about how I've made over $9 million, mainly in my pajamas, occasionally naked, but a lot of times from my bed. And so I was like, I'm probably going to post these videos on the internet and I want to be in like my fun socks and my sweatpants and my Meant for Magic hoodie because this is how I am pretty much all the time, other than when it's really hot outside. But I actually keep my AC real fucking low. So, anyways, on my first episode coming back today, everyone and their mothers has been asking me about my engagement. So I'm going to share the story of how I met my man and how I manifested a ring in half a year, right? I think maybe it was 7 months, but I know that the ring was acquired within, let's see, we were like official, like, yeah, ring was acquired within like 3 or 4, and then the proposal came at like 6, 7. And a lot of people think it's absolutely nuts that someone can get engaged and know these things, but there are also so many people who know that, one, when you know, and two, when you're in a place to receive love and you know exactly what you want and that you will settle for nothing less, it can happen really quickly. And so I have been in longer term relationships where someone's saying, yeah, we're gonna do the thing and I'm gonna get you a ring and I want to marry you. And then they don't. And it's like, what is the difference here? And I want to really share the story of how you can be discerning of a man who's fucking ready, a man who wants to fully commit to you, and who you need to become to call that in. So first, I'm going to give you a little backstory because everyone and their mothers has asked how I've met him, and I've told no one. Like, I haven't even put the story on social media yet. So what's really funny is he has an epic full-time job and makes great money, great guy. But he has a side business, so he plows and has a landscaping company on the side as well. And so I moved here in like December of the year before last. And so he was like plowing my driveway and he was just like such a good dude, comes from a good family. At the time, he was actually in a relationship. And he's much younger than me. So I'm like, okay, 25-year-old, I'm 33 years old. Like, no, too young for me. No, thank you. And so he was also taken. So it was like, I would never, right? And so I put him in the taken young box that this is like not my guy, which again, him to me, it's like irrelevant. It was all about who I was being to manifest and for everything to come to fruition. So he's plowing my driveway, then he was landscaping here in the coming months, and he was just, like, such an attentive human being. Very caring, very kind, always helped out. I remember one day in the winter where, like, the whole driveway was like a patch of ice, and, my hot water ran out, and the company comes, and they won't go all the way up the driveway because 'cause they're slipping on ice, and I called him, and he came right to the rescue, put down salt. Like, he was just such a reliable human being, which is definitely up there on my list of what I need in a man. Reliable, like, who's gonna get you, especially for a woman like me who's very successful and very busy. I need someone who's gonna get me. So, eventually, a couple months later, he exited his relationship. I won't air out his dirty laundry because he's my fiance. But she was not right for him, and she did things that you don't do in relationships, so they ended. And yeah, that was that. So we won't tell that story, but they ended, and that was when he really started to pursue me. And I honestly like was so out to lunch and not even like thinking of being in a relationship. I had gotten out of a relationship the year prior, moved back home. I was in a relationship in Florida. So I was just like, I'm focusing on me and my home and really being the fucking most epic woman. And I was focused on obviously my business too, right? So very busy. And so little by little, he started being like, want to come out and see the flower beds I planted? And I would be like, no, no, I do not. Like, I was looking back at our text and I was dying because one day he was like, hey, come out, da da da. And I wrote back, tell me how bitchy this is. Ready? I go, I pay you so I don't have to do the job. I trust you. You're the landscaper. You know. So stop asking me to come outside. I'm busy. I'm on calls. And he just like liked it. And he definitely thought I was a bitch. But I was like busy. I'm like, do your job. Stop asking me to come outside. But he wanted to see me. Little did I know, right? So it's funny. I was like, very like, I don't want a relationship right now. I'm fine, whatever. And a couple days before we actually became intimate, right? We'll say, I made a list and I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready for love. I have this app called The Pattern. It was really funny. I was actually at my house with one of my clients who is such a doll. Her name is Joan. She's amazing. And she was here and she was like, "You're ready." And I was like, "All right, I'm going to make my list." And like, I actually handed her the list too. She was like, "I'll do magic with you." Really incredible woman. And so, like, I do magic all the time, but I was very, very intentional about like what I wanted in a man. Right. And I wrote like kind and reliable and hardworking and just like all the things that now I know matter to me. Like when I was making my first list 10 years ago, it was like millionaire. Da, 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 da. I was like, well, you could get that, not all the other things. So I was very intentional about when I was calling in and opened myself up. And that day, I got a notification from The Pattern. If you don't have this app, please download it. And it said like relationship timing opened up because there's like timings. And I was like, weird. I just made this list and now it's saying like relationship timing. And so right after that, he started really coming in hot and heavy. So my air condition broke. He fixed the air conditioning. He's here for hours on end, like trying to get my attention. And I was like, thanks. I was really appreciative. Then my koi pond outside broke, wasn't working. He shows up. I'm in the house. He shows up all done up because he's like a farmer, fisherman, hunter guy. So like when he comes here, he's in like plain Jane clothing. And so I look outside. I actually think I looked on the camera and I see him like in a collared shirt and all looking nice. And he like wanted me to come outside. Again, still don't come outside. So he was all bummed that he went home and showered and did his hair and came back all like fucking done up. And I still didn't go outside. Now where he really started to get me. So he was fixing things, doing scope way beyond landscaper and plow guy, right? But then he started bringing me fish. And that was where the game changed for him because that's how I let him in my house because he would come in with the fish. Now, first time he brought me a fish, it was already like cleaned and cut up. So like it was like I cook it, go by. He got smarter. The next time he brought the fish, he was like, "I'm going to cut it up there." I was like, okay, whatever. I don't care. Right. So he comes in the house and he's taking out these whole fish and he's like skinning them. And I was like, wow, that's kind of hot. And he was like, "I'm very picky on how my fish is cooked, da, da, da." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna cook the fish and you're gonna eat the fish." And he was like, "Okay." And then he was blown away by my cooking because most men actually think I can't cook, but I can cook. I just don't cook unless you're like coming for the ring finger, right? So anyways, he did that. And we started talking more. I started asking him. He finally told me that he wasn't in his relationship anymore, all of those things. And I was like, oh damn, this is why he's so hot and heavy, coming in, pursuing me. Um, I could tell you really another funny story if we want to back up like a month. I was actually seeing an ex of mine again, thinking we could rekindle, but not really. We were just like, he was an amazing guy. And so my fiance, Chris, I called him while my ex was over because again, we were just friends. And I was like, hey, I can't find the spigot to the hose. I'll need it, bring it sometime next week. 5 minutes later, homeboy shows up at my house and introduces himself to my ex who's there. And you could tell he's like, not happy this guy is here. And I was like, that's when I really started to know, like a month prior, that he was like interested. And then the next day he came to do the lawns at my house, walked in my house, shook my ex's hand, introduced himself officially. I was like, this man has balls. Like he was like, this bitch is mine. So loved it, really. So go back to, now we're going back, fish. Got fish again, and that was where he was like, I was like, I'm a grandma, I'm going to bed, because he's bringing me fish at like 8 something at night, this night. And I was like, you gotta go. So I was like, I'll cook real quick, and then you gotta go. And he was like, how about we just have a drink, and let's talk. And I was like, all right, fuck it. So making my fish, have a little wine with him. He has, I think, like a glass of bourbon, and that was the night. Like enough times where I was like, fuck it. So I ended up giving him a card reading. I'm dancing, I'm playing music, I'm just being like my outrageous self. And he's just looking at me, honestly, like, I love this girl. Like I could just feel it. He was like, I really like her. And I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. The 25-year-old, this is gonna happen. And so I'm just like being me. We're having fun. And then he asked to go in the hot tub. And we went in the hot tub, and that was where we had our first kiss. And I made him work because I was like, and again, maybe a little too much TMI here, but did not do anything to him intimately that night. I was like, no. you can, like, have fun with me, but, I'm not hitting the sack in 5 seconds. So, anyways, the next day, I remember texting my best friend, and I was like, "I hooked up with the landscaper." That's what I said, and she was like, "What? He's 25?" Because again, like, I didn't it was, like, the most least expected thing, like, honestly, and he knows this, I go for, like, clean cut, like, tall, dark, like, wears certain things, does certain things, like, and it's just been always had been my type. But I found him extremely attractive. He's a very, very attractive man, just not like my typical type. And usually I'm like in my box. And so he never even struck me as someone that I was like, yeah, that's like gonna be my person. After we kissed, I was like, holy shit, like, there was, like, an undeniable connection that, like, I was just not open to, and so the next day, he's like, "Wanna come to this country concert?" And I'm like I said no, actually, like, I didn't even say yes yet. The concert was, like, in a month from now, but I'm like, "No, I don't think so." Like, "What do you mean? Now I gotta meet his best friend," and all. I'm like, "No." I was like, "This could be fun." I swear to God, like, I had no intention on even dating this man. But then he just kept coming over and kept coming over and kept wowing me and wanting to take me on dates, and, like, he was working for the goods, okay? And so I remember he, like, came over, this was maybe, like, 2 weeks later, whatever it was, and he said to me, actually, no, not he said to me, I said to him, "I'm going on a date this weekend." And you should have seen the look on his face. He was like, "What? You're what? No, you're," and he goes just like this, "No, you're not. You're not going on a date this weekend." And I was like, "Oh, yes, I am. I'm going on a date this weekend." And he was like, "Mm-mm, no, you're not." And, like, he, like, minorly gave me, like, an ultimatum, and I was like, "Shit, like, I'm really enjoying this guy. He's so much fun. He's, like, nothing that, like, I've ever had. He brings so much joy and spunk and, honestly, like, youngness into my life." Like, I felt like just he was such a breath of fresh air. And so I was like this. I said, "Okay, fine. I'll give you 30 days. If after 30 days this is something, you could ask me to be your girlfriend." And I said, "If not, I'm going back on the market because I ain't wasting my time and this could just be fun." Right? I wasn't in like, usually I'm like, you gotta do this, whatever. But I was very clear. Like, if you want this, then you'll claim it. But I just was unsure at this point, like, really, really liked him, but I didn't wanna rush too fast where, like, yeah, we're dating in, like, 5 seconds, even though, again, we have a pretty quick timeline. So day 29, I think, he rolled over and he was like, "Will you be my girlfriend?" And I was like, "Shit, yes!" I literally, like, I fell for him, and it was, like, so crazy. It still is wild, and he's, like, the best thing that ever happened to me now, but, like, looking back, I wanted to make sure, and so I think he told me he loved me maybe even before that. It was within a couple of weeks, like, again, he rolled over and but he looked at me and he was like, "I love you." And instead of me being like, "I love you back," I said, "When did you know?" 'Cause I was so nervous. I was like, "When did you know?" And funny enough, he described the first night that we really, really hung out when I was dancing outside after pulling tarot, and I was like, "You knew, like, that fast?" He goes, "Well, like, that's when I knew I really could love you, yeah." He was like, "You just bring so much magic and light into my life, and just watching you dance," and he was like, "You just are incredible." So I said it back, but it took me, like, maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes. I was like, "I love you too," and he was like, "Don't just say it, don't just say it." I was like, "No," because I had fallen in love with him, and despite that he is, like, nothing like I'm usually used to, and, there are just so many things that I never thought I would be with him, just especially, like, the age. I've always dated either my age, but mainly older, right? Because 'cause I'm a very old soul. But so is he. His soul might even be older than mine, to be really honest. He's wise beyond his years, great man, family man, attractive, just, like, all of the things that I was looking for, but most important, like, I am the apple of his eye. Like, I am the number 1 priority in his life, it's me, and I wanted a man who thought that I put the stars in the sky, and I knew that when I was manifesting, like, there's a song, I forget off the top of my head, but it was something like, "You put the stars in the sky, da 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 da." And I remember listening to it, and I was like, "My man is gonna think this of me, like, he's gonna play this song for me someday," and, like, I started manifesting early on. I always knew my intentions were to date to marry. Like, I don't wanna fucking waste my time. Either I'm gonna have fun and, like, live my life or, if we're doing this, we're doing this. So, I think, like, 2, 3 months in, he started talking about marriage and children. He was very clear that I was his person. And then crazy enough, we got ripped out of the honeymoon stage when he fell off a horse. Well, actually, he didn't fall off a horse. He got bucked off a horse and he broke his ankle. And it was really, really hard. Like, watching the whole scene was nuts. This horse took off like a bat out of hell, bucked him right off. He broke his ankle. I won't even give you the whole story, but long story short, I'm only with this man for like 2, 3 months. He gets injured, and now I become a caretaker, right? And so I'm like, holy shit, this is really soon. Like, he can't even walk, right? I take off work to take care of him in surgery. And again, please don't mistake me. Like, I'm not complaining. It was just like so fast, where now all of a sudden the honeymoon phase is completely done. And we have like real shit happening where, I'm having to get him ice and get him water and take care of him and be there and help him get up and just I help him shower, and I'm like, "Holy shit, this happened so fast." So, full transparency, because a lot of people would never say this and would never admit it. During those couple of weeks, I knew I'm either gonna leave this man or marry this man because it was hard. It was really hard, like, managing my business, taking care of him. He was not in a good mental space because he's someone, again, one of the reasons I looked up to him so much is like such a hard worker, right? Like, always, if he's not working at his job, he's outside on the farm, he's tending to things. So now he can't walk. He's in incredible masses of pain. So he's not in the best mental state. And so I'm carrying him mentally, I'm carrying him emotionally, I'm carrying him physically. And this is a new relationship. So we definitely had like tension points for a couple weeks where like I was like, I am gonna punch this guy in the face, leave him, whatever. Like, it was hard for me. And when we moved out of that phase, he recovered, he went back to work. He literally looked at me and was like, "You're a fucking ride or die. Like, you could have left me. You could have sent me packing and you were there for me. And, I want to marry you." And so on his birthday, funny enough, we went and looked at rings. And I had never tried a ring on, but you're lying, ladies, if you've never done this. But I totally had rings in my phone in my favorites. So like I pulled them up and funny enough, like every ring that I thought I would have loved, I didn't. Um and we were just trying some on and there was like a particular style. He did way better with this ring for the record than I could even have imagined. But it was like around this style. But now he already knew my ring finger for the record. He told me, and any men listening, apparently he put one of those like I don't know what you call them. Um he wrapped something around my finger when I was sleeping, which is crazy because I always wake up. I don't know how he did that. Zip tie. He wrapped a zip tie and then measured it. I'm like, wow, damn, you're good. And so, honestly, he would have proposed sooner, but it was a custom-made ring, and he told me that after. He was like, "Look, this ring took forever to come in, or you would have got it even sooner." So, like, I probably would have got it at 4 or 5 months. He was like, I knew you were my person after we went through that hurdle and, we came through it so beautifully." And that's the thing is, like, in a good relationship, you have to know how to fight, right? Like, I have been with, like, avoidant people who, like, something comes up, you don't wanna talk about it. Like, for me and him, like, it was never go to bed angry. When I was frustrated or upset, we talked about it, and then he rectified it, right? And vice versa. If, like, something's bothering your partner, it's like, "Hey, this needs to get cleaned up." And he would be like, "Okay, I'll do better," you know? I'm used to dating very OCD clean people. I would say the last like 5 men that, I've dated, and I've been in a lot of really incredible serious relationships, and he is 25. He's never, really lived on his own before. And so, he has an incredible mom who like cleans and all that. And so getting used to him leaving things like he would literally eat on my couch. My couch is $16,000. And I'd be like, "You're not bringing food on this couch again." Like, there were little points of like, "Hey, I need you to do better here." Because at home, he could eat on the couch. But now this is his home and we're not doing that. Right. And so we had to learn each other's likes. We had to learn each other's triggers. We had to learn each other's dislikes. We had to learn how we could be better for the other. And for the record, yeah, I'm usually the messy partner. So I'm like, we can't both be the messy partner. We're gonna have a messy house. So obviously, I have the cleaning ladies come a lot. I have a whole crew that comes every single week. But we both actually made a better effort to be cleaner and pick up after ourselves. But like, so I do the laundry. He hates doing laundry. He does the dishes. I hate doing dishes. Right. And so we have this like really incredible relationship where we talk out things where, if he's having a really busy week, maybe I do X or Y or Z. And we have a lot of help. Like I have a farmhand here who helps with the animals. And it's just really great to have someone that you can communicate with and really get to know on a deeper level, but they'll know really quickly. And so piecing this out for a woman who's like, I want a ring in 6, 7 months, it's like, you need to know your standards. Like every part of the way he pursued me, every part of the way he knew I wasn't fucking around. I told him I was going to go on other dates if he wasn't going to claim me. So he asked me to be his girlfriend because he knew at day 30, I would have gone on another date. I wouldn't have given a shit. We could have still talked, had fun, whatever. But like, I was like, no, no. If I'm literally off the market if I'm off the market. Until then, I'm on it. And a lot of women, they're like, talk to someone 2 days, they give them all their attention, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so in love with him. And he's seeing other women. He's doing his own thing. He has no fucking intention to wife you up, and you're allowing that, right? A lot of women allow this. And, for me, I either have we're seeing each other, we're exclusive, we're intimate, then we date, or we're seeing each other, we're exclusive, we date, then we're intimate. Which again, sometimes you're like, well, what if they suck? But I remember one of my past relationships, he actually asked me to be his girlfriend before we had sex. We had sex after he asked me, and thank God he was good in bed. Sorry, babe. But like just having a man pursue you, knowing that you're the fucking prize. And again, I'm not saying they're not the prize, but you are the prize. Men have waged wars over pussy, honey, okay? Like, people don't understand, and especially women, they think that, like, they have this, like, desperate energy. It's like, I know who the fuck I am. I know what the fuck I want, and I don't settle for anything less, and my man is everything that I could have ever dreamed of in every department, and I wouldn't be marrying him if he wasn't, right? And I just think you have to get really, 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 really clear on exactly what you want, but then you have to become the woman that can have and hold it, and actually, you wanna become your list too. You can't ask for a reliable man if you're not a reliable person. You can't ask for a loyal man if you're a fucking cheater, right? So, like, when women come to me and they're messy, I'm like, "Girl, how you calling this in? You're not even anywhere near this. Like, you need to become this woman to have this kind of man in your life," right? So there's 2 pieces to that, but I wanted to share my story. I wanted to share how we met, kinda like the little things in between, and finally, my engagement. Yeah, so funny enough, I actually went to Puerto Rico on a business trip, and he wanted to come to at the end of the business trip, so he came there, and we were staying at the Ritz Carlton, which is stunning, one of the reserves. There's only, like, 7 or 8 in the world. And he was like, "Wanna go watch the sunset?" Funny enough, he was taking pictures of me, like, sleeping next to the ring, like, he has all this funny stuff in his phone. Anyways, so he's like, "Wanna go watch the sunset?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go watch the sunset, sure." So we walk right outside our room where the beach is, and he's like, "I wanna take pictures of you." And I was like, "Okay." He never, like, asked me to pose for pictures. He'll take pictures of me, but asked me to pose, strange, but I'm like, "Okay." Kind of, like, posing, going like this, and then all of a sudden, some lady comes out of the bushes, our butler, but, she was like, "I'll take pictures of you." Again, I don't think anything. I'm like, "Oh, wow, she was in the right place at the right time. She wants to take pictures of us." She made it really good, but I was like, "Why is she over there?" Okay, whatever. But the butler service is really great. So I was like, "Oh, maybe she just, like, caught us at the right time and she was walking by." So all of a sudden, he hands her the phone, he goes up to her, and then he comes back over and he's like, "Do you wanna spend your life with me?" And I was like, "Yeah." And that's when he, like, gets down on one knee. I can't really tell you if he even said, "Will you marry me?" Because anything that came out of his mouth, I just completely blacked out. It was, "Do you wanna spend your life with me?" That's what I remember hearing, and I said, "Yes." And then he gets down, and I'm just bawling. I'm like, "Oh my god." Like, I mean, like, it's every girl's dream to get engaged, married. Okay, maybe not every, but I think most women, to get engaged and to get married and have children, and these are things I've always wanted, but I'm like, I wanna say this, I'm so grateful for the way my life turned out because 'cause I've had a lot of incredible relationships in my life, but a lot of those relationships, I learned so much about myself and about what I want, and I don't think that I would've wanted children any younger, wanted to get married any younger because I needed to become the woman I am right now. So the woman that he loves is a very, like, healed, emotionally regulated, kind, loving, loyal, great person, and I have no problem admitting that, like, me in my teens, in my young 20s, like, I was messy sometimes, you know? I had to really learn, like, who I am and what I want, and, I used to be, like, much quicker to trigger with my temper, and, I had to do a lot of healing around the masculine. I used to be, like, such a control freak, and so I can't say that I was always, like, 100 out of 100 person to date, and I had to become her to call this in, right? And a lot of people would never admit that, and, like, I have no problem saying that, like, the version of me at 21, she couldn't have been a mother. She obviously, if it happens, right? But, like, no, like, the version of me now is going to be the best mother, and I am a good fiance, I'm a good wife, and I always say, like I always used to say, because manifestation, I just say, "I'm a wife. I'm a mother." I don't say I'm a girlfriend. I was always a wife. I was always destined to be a wife, and so if you're listening to this, hopefully I give you a lot of tips and tricks on top of my fun stories, but everybody has asked me about my partner and how we met, and I said I'm gonna make a post, so I'll probably make a post too and then just add this, into it, but that's my story. A lot of you love hearing all the things in my life and how I use manifestation and all of the work that I teach my clients to have the life of my full fulfillment, so thank you for listening to my fun engagement, love, relationship story, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Mwah.